Good morning, Extension English. This is our week 2 video for the IRP. So you will find this on your IRP workspace. I hope this is finding you well and that you're enjoying the reading process and those first investigation phases of your independent research project. So just a reminder that you need to make sure that you are watching these videos, and as you see in there, you've got your week 1-2 logistics that just goes over, I guess, what we're doing. You've got your workflow document to ask questions on, and then we'll be Zooming during our lessons and discussing different ways to go about this, sharing ideas and doing things like that. So just a reminder that you should also be now considering your journal and what sorts of things you want to put into that, remembering that over time you will need to compile that. So if we go down here, we did look at week 1, and look, not a lot's changed in terms of what we're doing because we are still in that week 1 to 3 phase, but I guess this is just an opportunity to remind you of where we're at. So right now it looks to me, as I've had some discussions with you, that all of you have now got a fantastic idea, and I'm really excited to share those ideas when we have our first Zoom session. So at the moment, what you're doing over these weeks is you're focusing on reading and you're focusing on that research phase. So answering these questions, looking at the cultural influences of particular texts, what's the context, how have texts changed over time, what were their intended purposes, what would perhaps their purposes be now, particular different literary readings, these are all the different things that you'd be considering. So that's the first step, is really exploring and analysing the context. And then once you've done that, starting to look at the language that's there. Now you might like to, with that language, actually set out a pro forma, basically, where it's quotes in one set of the table, techniques in another set of the table, and then an analysis of what those quotes and how that's showing a particular idea and how it's representing the culture in a particular way. I can give you some example pro formas of those sorts of things, and that's the sort of thing we'll discuss when we have our first Zoom this week. And then just to make clear to you what the checkpoint in week 3 will look like. Okay, so the way I envisage this checkpoint is that the 4 of you and I will be having our Zoom session, and I want you each to come prepared, ready to share your screen and show us what you've got in your journal and to take us through what you've learned about your text so far. Okay, so I might put together a little pro forma of what I'd like to see in the checkpoint 3 and pop it into our page. So if you come down here where it says, checkpoint 1, sorry, not checkpoint 3, checkpoint 1 in week 3, I'll put a pro forma in there to help you, to guide you of how you'll do that. Okay, guys, I think it's all pretty self-explanatory in terms of you've got those different things to work on. We're particularly focusing in on the context and the language and how the language communicates that context. And then you've got your work also on Animal Farm to continue on with. I will check in again with you each week in this same way so that you have that screencast to remind you of where we're going and what we're doing in terms of where we're heading. Have a lovely week.